PFF safety rankings. All right. This is the same thing, top 32 ahead of the 2025 NFL season. All right, here we go. Number one, surprise, surprise. Well, first of all, look at the two they mentioned. Kyle Hamilton leads the way. The versatile Ravens defensive back was the only safety to earn at least an 88 PFF grade in coverage, run defense, and pass rushing this past season. Xavier McKinney showed out in his first year in Green Bay. His 90.2 PFF coverage grade ranked second at the position after he recorded 8 interceptions, tied for the most among safeties. All right, so we go down the list here. Number one, Kyle Hamilton. Number two, the second best safety in the entire league, according to PFF, Xavier McKinney. McKinney's first season in Green Bay went superbly. He was among the best safeties in coverage in 2024 with his 90.2 PFF coverage grade, ranking second at the position after he recorded 8 interceptions, tied for the most among safeties. He allowed a 56.4, again, a 56.4 passer rating in coverage, the third best mark at the position. So PFF has Xavier McKinney as the second best safety in the league. I want to get your all's take on that, and we're going to talk some leadership and what really, really transformed the Packers defense under Xavier McKinney. What do y'all think about what we just covered there? Do you feel like he's the second best safety in the league? I noticed he was ahead of Kirby Joseph. That made me happy.
I think he's number 2. I really do. A lot of people would probably argue and say, it's because he had multiple interceptions in the beginning of the season and then kind of fell off a little bit on that. But interceptions are kind of moot to me. Like, if you're in the right place and the right position, that kind of thing, then sometimes you get lucky, But I just think that the more of like his statistics or his metrics that way is that the way that he brought a leadership to that defense, I think, was something that was lacking. And I think that him being a catalyst was one of the reasons that Jeff Hafley's defense took a big impact there. And now you get the fact that you get guys like Mr. Cooper, Mr. Gary, plug in any cornerback that wants to step up and become kind of that plug and play shutdown corner. This defense could be scary. And it all starts, in my opinion, with Xavier and his leadership. I just think it was that important.
Yeah, I agree. That puts him ahead of Kirby Joseph.
Yep.
The leadership ability, what he brings to the table, and the fact that he's not a dirty bastard.
And he's not a dirty bastard.
He's not a dirty bastard. So I'll take X any day, every day, 7 days a week, 24/7, 365 over a guy like Kirby Joseph. And that's not a knock on Kirby Joseph. He's a hell of a player, right? But I do think it's fair to put.
It's kind of a knock on him. Kind of.
Yeah, it is. Well, whatever. See you week one at Lambeau.
Can't wait. I cannot wait.
Tim, how dumb are the Giants front office? Look at the two players that they let go and walk to other teams. What is that?
We love it. You let your star running back go and he wins a Super Bowl with another team. You let your star safety go. He's about to win a Super Bowl with another team.
Let's go.
And I kind of get the Saquon release, although it looks really, really bad now with Saquon going off.
Yeah, that's
because he has battled injuries. Running back, there's this conversation piece. How valuable is that position? But letting Xavier McKinney did nothing but ball out in New York, and it's like, do you not have a plan to have a good safety? Like, are you just going safety ain't that important? I thank God, Jacob. Thank the good Lord above that they were that stupid to let him walk. Seriously. We'll take it right off the trash heap there. All right, Packers defense transforms. McKinney's biggest impact is not on the field. Here's what we got. Forget the $67 million contract, the all-pro stats, or the interceptions. When the Packers signed Xavier McKinney, they didn't just get a safety. They got a new standard. They got a mission. They got an exorcist. I love that word. For years, the Packers defense has been haunted by playoff collapses against physical teams like the 49ers. But what if the fix wasn't a new scheme or draft pick, but one player rewiring the team's identity? Xavier McKinney's real impact goes beyond stats. It's about changing a culture that's been good, but never good enough. All right. The haunting, a decade of defensive disappointment. To understand McKinney's impact, revisit the pain. For a decade, Green Bay's elite offense was held back by a fragile defense. Despite talent, 8 first-round picks at one point, something was missing: identity and toughness. In big moments, the defense folded. The 49ers ran through them. Communication breakdowns left receivers open. Under Joe Barry, mental errors defined a unit that reacted and never dictated. Playoff losses became a predictable nightmare. The front office fired Barry and hired Jeff Hafley for an aggressive 4-3 scheme, but a playbook alone wasn't enough. They needed a new heartbeat, someone to reshape the defense's soul.
You had to use that picture, Clayton. I was at that game too.
Which one? Oh, right here.
Oh my goodness, Robbie Gould. Oh my goodness.
It was between that.
Shout out to my brother from another mother, Tony, out there. He'll be back next month. He was at this game with me. We both sat in the stands. We were the last to leave. We had to watch Jimmy G walk off the field screaming "F the Packers."
No,
that was brutal. Yeah,
this was right after they blocked the punt and returned it for a touchdown too. So special teams again. I know people like to hate on Rich Bisaccia because there's some guy that puts out a special teams ranking every single year, but the reality is we don't get kicks blocked anymore, right? Like if it happens, it's so rare. Like this was just an absolute meltdown of special teams those 2 years when Aaron was playing MVP football. So
that's why they brought Rich in. You know why? Because they looked around and they said
they don't know what the they're doing. You understand that?
All right. The architect arrives, a statement of intent. Xavier McKinney's 4-year, $67 million deal was a bold move, signing the end of business as usual. It wasn't just about filling a roster spot. It was about transforming the culture. From day one, McKinney brought intensity. Teammates and coaches felt it. He worked like – I love this line. Listen to this line right here. He worked like a rookie and led like a veteran. Matt LaFleur called him, quote, a dude in his first meeting. The focus was clear, beating the 49ers. Quote, we knew we had to go through them, McKinney said. He embraced the franchise's deepest frustration, arriving on a mission to build a defense that bullies the bullies, not just hangs with them. His contract was for his mindset and leadership, making him the heart of Hafley's defense. I love that picture right there, too. Look at my guy right here. Awesome. Look at this, dude. You got Coop right there with him. I'm telling you, man, having McKinney at post safety and Coop right underneath him, all we need is that dominant 3-tech right in the middle of that defense on the line of scrimmage. Could be Devontae Wyatt.
I was just going to say it could be Devontae Wyatt. He could already be here right now.
We're going to know after this year. I feel very comfortable saying that. Very comfortable saying
and you feel even better about the opposite safety, right? You know, between Williams and Bullard and, you know, the guys that we can rotate over there. Like, feel really good about this D.
And Tim, Evan Williams learning from Xavier McKinney, starting his rookie year.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes these guys, they get into a bad program and they learn bad habits, and you got to as we say down here, unlearn them, right?
Yep.
You got to get all that fog out of your brain. There's none of that with Evan Williams. He's coming in with a dominant defensive coordinator. He's got Derek Ansley, right, as his DB coach. Essentially, it's what he's doing, right? He's the passing game coordinator, and then on the field alongside him, he's got Xavier McKinney, guy who led the league in interceptions. It's just absolutely wild.
I'm glad you brought up DA, man, because I don't think he gets enough credit. One of the things besides the football IQ that Coach Ansley has is his ability to coach these guys up and relate to the players. If you get a chance to go to camp this year, pay attention to Derek Ansley and the way he talks to these guys in the secondary. And he knows how to get every last drop out of these players. And it really is something cool to see in person and makes you appreciate it more as a fan, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. AFM in the chat says, unlearn is very Kentucky. Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is. All right, the blueprint. Here we go, Jacob. Rewiring the defensive DNA. McKinney changes culture through accountability, mentorship, and on-field leadership. Post-practice, he's on his tablet, spotting group mistakes to coach teammates before meetings. Again, he's on his tablet. This is after practice. On his tablet, spotting group mistakes to coach teammates before meetings. A proactive standard that raises the bar. He mentors young safeties like Javon Bullard and Evan Williams, preparing them for the NFL speed. Hafley raves, quote, what a pro, the way he looks out for the younger guys. As the defense's quarterback wearing the green dot, McKinney makes calls and aligns all 11 players, erasing the communication woes of the past. Quote, I like to set the tone, he says. For the first time in years, the Packers have a true general at safety. There were rumors last year that there were a few games he wore the green dot. In New York, he wore the green dot the entire time. So that's something he's got in his bag of tricks there as well, Jacob. And the leadership that McKinney brings to the table is just wild.
I mean, yeah, again, that was my point that I will reiterate again, is that the guy just came in with I won't even say it was a quiet confidence. It was kind of a loud confidence. If you remember, he came in, he goes, I'm here and I'm ready to be a leader. And I know what it takes to project success on a team, on an organization. And like, if you watch some of his first press conferences, the guy was not shy. He knew his capability. He was confident in himself. He knew the type of player that he was, and that he was going to bring that type of success to the Green Bay Packers, and he did it. And I think he did it even better than we could have ever hoped for. And like you said, him having that green dots experience is absolutely crucial to him being one of the, if not the biggest leader on that defense. He's the quarterback of the defense, and I think that he's absolutely projecting us. Man, dude, like if he can get more communication to me, like I played a little, but like that was the biggest thing, is that you had to have somebody on the field communicating, literally yelling out loud, watch this guy, look at that, watch for this, look for that. Like that is what makes people great. When everybody's out there not listening and nobody knows what the heck they're doing, that's when you get into trouble. When somebody is out there being a field general and they're telling you exactly, Tim. I'm serious. It helps. That's what literally being a leader means. Say, you're doing this. Watch this. Watch that guy. Watch this. Watch the end around. Watch the sweep. Like you can hear him screaming, and I love it.
That's one of the best things that we don't really talk about with X's game, is the fact that he's one of these guys that has that veteran leadership ability, but he's also still a young guy. You know, he's not an old dog quite yet. You know, old enough to know better. Yeah, something like that. 27. He'll be 28 this year. Something like that. Old enough to know better, young enough to still enjoy it. You know, pick those guys up in the locker room and use that experience that you've cultivated, but also you still have that young swagger and that pep in your step. So, you know, that signing right there, probably, arguably, other than maybe the Josh Jacobs signing, certainly the best free agent acquisition that Goody's had, I think.
Yeah. Greg Rice in the chat says, was he green dot for only one game? I couldn't find a definitive answer, Greg. I knew he wore it for at least one. I heard it was 2 to 3 games that he had the green dot. When we're in season, there's so much going on. It's like, I really don't care that much about trying to run it down and go, all right, who actually had the green dot? Now, Quay ideally was wearing the green dot, but Quay missing some time. Obviously, they shuffled things around. I know there was one game, I want to say Eric Wilson wore the green dot one game, but I could be wrong. I think that was early on when Quay got hurt.
That was when Quay was out. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So they kind of mixed and matched last year there, Greg, for the best of my knowledge. But PFF grades, let's run through it here, starting in week 1. 76, 62, 76, 91 against Minnesota. 88 on the road against the Rams. 66, 69, 61, 65, 57,
65%. 65%. That's what
73, 78, 62, 64, 70, 62, 51. Finished the year with a defensive PFF grade of 84.8. There are his grades across his career with the New York Giants starting his rookie year, a 70 and a 75. He got hurt in 2022, dropped down to 554 snaps, finished with a 57 PFF grade. Then in 2023, jumped right back up to an 87.5 with a 91.2 coverage grade. And then, of course, his first year in Green Bay, 84.8 with a 90 coverage grade. That's
how did the Giants not re-sign him in 2023? Like, what are they
told you earlier?
I told you the answer, Jacob, but I'd be happy to tell you again.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
Which brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
Could be a crackhead. They got hold to the wrong stuff.
Tim, you're too fast on the drop, bro.
I think
you're too fast.
I think Tim is taking those PEDs before this show. My man is The Exorcism, tangible results of intangible leadership. This culture shift translates to results. The defense turned from a liability into a turnover machine, dictating games. Offenses avoided deep throws against McKinney, with Hafley texting him, quote, "Don't get bored," as teams altered game plans. His presence instilled swagger and belief. Teammates call him, quote, "lights out," and a game changer. The defense now sees itself as bullies, ready to out-tough opponents. McKinney's 8 interceptions, second most in the league, aren't the cause. They're the result of his standard communication and culture. In conclusion, it says the Packers didn't pay McKinney $67 million for stats. They paid him to fix a decade-long defensive problem. He's the architect of a new culture, demanding accountability, mentoring youth, and bringing clarity as the on-field quarterback. The question isn't, will the defense be good enough anymore? It's whether it'll be the reason they win a title. The ghosts of playoff failures linger, but with McKinney leading, the Packers finally have a defense that believes it can beat teams like the 49ers, which they did last year. What McKinney's biggest change for the team? Comment below. Let us know what you think. What's the biggest change for the team in terms of McKinney? So anything else you guys want to hit on there with Xavier McKinney before we get ready to wrap this big bear up? I see a couple chats marked in here. We'll try to hit those.
Just real quick. We were talking about Edge Coop a few minutes ago, and I think a lot of the things we said about him, we can say about X. You talk about the physical attributes. That's a given. But I think with McKinney, man, it's that FBI and him being able to sniff out a coverage, sniff out a play before it happens, break an assignment when he needs to, and make a play on the ball. These are all things that you combine with that athletic ability, and you get a player like this, man. And I'm just glad he's wearing green and gold.
Yeah. United Bates went and done the research. Thank you so much, Bates. Wilson wore the green dot in week 18. Thank you so much for that information there, Bates. Anything else, Jacob, on Xavier McKinney before we move on here, brother?
No, I think that's a really kind of apt observation like Tim had. Like, guys that even if they have the athletic ability, like you can run Usain Bolt fast, right? But if you don't have the mental stuff to understand where you're running to, that's probably going to be an issue, right? And it's guys that are very unique where you put those 3, 4, 5, 6 crazy intangibles, whether it be speed, FBI, block shedding, whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden you have it in a complete package. I think that McKinney and I think that Cooper, both of them, are absolute studs in that aspect. You know, I wish we had McKinney a little younger. I wish we were the ones that drafted him for sure, but we did draft Cooper. And between the two of them, if we can get them coincidingly playing for like 2 or 3 years, that window for that defense, I'm telling y'all, like that's a pretty big. We got a lot of chances to do a lot of good things.
Like Coach Len says in the chat, and we complain about Goody. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get the do-rag on that guy. Why are we complaining? Come on, man. Unbelievable. All right, Chase Green in the chat says, Clayton, do you think we can stop duo runs from Detroit and Chicago with our current D-tackle group? Chase, based off what we've seen last year, man, stopping the run is not a problem. You know. Now, here's the thing. Every year, this is the reason we're talking about the defense maybe taking a slight step back. They're going to watch the tape and go, okay, here's what they were doing, right? And again, one of the problems was those touch spies. And when you're running duo up the middle and you got a guy that's occupying a double team and he's not really pinning his ears back and losing leverage at the point of attack, he's kind of holding ground. It's a lot like a 34 approach, a 34 defensive approach where your defensive linemen, your 3 defensive linemen in a 34, they don't have one gap. They've got 2. They will engage and control 2 gaps. So if you're in a 3 tech, he's going to attack that B gap, but he's looking to shift over to the A gap if he needs to, depending on what the front, what look the front has. It may be the gap to his left as well. So with that one-touch spy in the middle, you really were able to occupy, win the hat count, go +1 on a hat count, occupying a double team, but also not being too aggressive and getting yourself in a spot where you can't rebound and stop the run. Also, what we noticed last year were guys setting the edge really, really well, something that Lucas Van Ness didn't get a lot of credit for, and we seen it on the tape when we broke it down the other night. Really did a good job setting the edge. And Rashawn Gary, leading the defensive lineman in run stops, was an absolute force against the run last year. Again, the Rashawn Gary haters, they will try to key in on, okay, what went down for Gary this year? Okay, his pressures went down. Let's attack that, right? They want to attack the sacks because he led the team in sacks, albeit 7.5, but he still led the team in sacks, a team that finished with 9 sacks on the year. But the one thing they stay away from, and boy, oh boy, they get antsy when you want to talk about the run game, because again, when you're questioning him making the Pro Bowl, you look up and your defense was a top 10 pass defense. They were the second best run defense in the league, and this guy led your defensive line in run stops and sacks. Why are you so confused that he made the Pro Bowl? Could it be that you had a horribly bad take because you got overly emotional after a key loss in the season and you wanted to build off that narrative in the entire season? Because again, if you're asking me, would you rather have the second best run defense and the top 10 pass defense, or would you rather have more sacks and the team fall apart like it has in the past defensively? I'm sorry, boys. I'm looking for the dub. Y'all can keep looking at the box scores. I ain't doing it. It's just it's a lazy way to fan is what it is. And it's most of the time it's the fans that want to find something negative. And once they get their take out there, because they were kicking and screaming on Twitter like a 6-year-old in the cereal aisle that didn't get what he wanted. And then all of a sudden, when you look up at the end of the year and go, damn, this defense is good. Well, you still got to double down on your take rather than go, maybe I got it wrong. I said I'm wrong all the time, guy. I'm married. You kidding me? I'm wrong daily. Like, people don't – it's like people convince themselves that I can't be wrong or people aren't going to like me. When in reality, when you go, boy, I screwed that up, they like you more because you're just being honest and you're being humble. It just, again, it drives me insane.
Right here.
And that's why Clayton uses the block button on X, and his blood pressure has gone down over the last 12 months.
He can block.
Tim is on point. All right, that's it. We're going to wrap this thing up. Any parting thoughts, gents, before we get out?
I think just kind of putting a bow on that conversation, I really think it adds a lot of credence to your point, Clay, about this D line. You know, we're like one, maybe two pieces away from really putting it together, you know, and we talk about the cornerback room, you know, conflicting reports from the fan base on how you feel going into this year, but you cannot deny that the back end of this defense, the middle of this defense, they're there already. We've got pieces in the cornerback room and we've got pieces on that D line. I'm really excited about, you know, like Steve is saying here in the chat, you know, Nas Stackhouse, man, if this guy pops, boy, would that be interesting if, you know, he plays his way onto this team and makes some noise. And then, you know, Devontae Wyatt taking a step too would be huge. If we shore up that D line, especially in the middle, especially against the run, oh my goodness, this defense, the hell with top 5, top 10, we could be talking top, you know, 1 to 3 here in the NFL.
Completely agree. Anything, Jacob? You good, man?
Yeah, no, just one last thing quick. I completely agree with everything Tim just said. That completely I vibe with. If you guys go, though, to the Packers YouTube channel, today you will find them getting to know the rookies, doing one of those types of segments. And what they do, I feel like maybe they're watching us. Maybe they stole a little thunder. They asked, what's your basically we're talking conspiracy theories. And they asked if they believe in aliens and other sorts of questions to that nature. And I'll just tell you that a lot of these rookies are vibing with, man. They understand. They said, yeah, man, they put on the tinfoil hat. I think that if we could probably bring back the awesome Jacob conspiracy, whatever the heck that was the best drop I think we ever had. Just because we all know that all the conspiracies are true, right? Birds aren't real. Dinosaurs aren't real. What else do you want to go off? Anyways, I'm just probably short up here.
We need to bring back.
No, it is really funny though. Watch the rookies and they talk about whether or not they think aliens are real. It's actually hilarious. It's a good time.
All right, we want to thank everybody in the chat tonight. You guys were absolutely awesome. I just got tagged in a tweet where Morgan Wallen walked out with Brett Favre during last night's concert in Wisconsin. Said the crowd went absolutely nuts. So pretty cool, man.
Love it.
Morgan Wallen kind of growing on me, man. I'd be my grandpappy would roll over in his grave, but he's kind of growing on me a little bit.
Yeah.
Heard a couple songs off the latest album, and I'm like, this kind of feels like old school country for a change. It's kind of cool. But Jacob, you keep listening to Third Eye Blind, don't you?
Hey, Third Eye Blind's amazing, first of all.
All right, we're out here, guys. Everybody in the chat, thank y'all so much for making us a part of your series. A-Fam's mom, hold on, she's going to chime in real quick. Can we have a Bigfoot search party on your property, Jacob? Kind of romantic. Oh, Chris N says dinosaurs aren't real life. It's funny. I got a friend who will remain nameless said dinosaurs they were not real, and I was like, so what about these? Like, yeah, listen, I don't know. I'm not whatever. I don't know. Was it an anthropod? What is it called? What is it that studies the bones and the dinosaurs and all that? You know, I don't know.
Boniologist.
Boniologist, we'll call it that. I'm not, you know, a professional in any regard in that, but I said, Oh, they got like fossils and bones and stuff. He said, that could be a big ass beaver. That's what he said. Got it. All right. There's the definition or the explanation. I can say there it is. Anthropologist. Thank you, Holmes, my man.
You think God never farted?
AFAM says, how do you explain them dino nuggets then? That's a.
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
All right, we're out of here, guys. Hey, Daryl knows all about bones. All right, guys. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank y'all so much. Who do we got here? Bowl of Soup. I was listening to Midnight in the Desert one night, and a caller came on and said, I was cutting my grass. Next thing I know, a Bigfoot came out of the woods. Nice.
Clayton, you better check on your neighbor.
Yeah, we got a couple neighbors down here that look like Bigfoot, to be honest with you. That could be one of my guys there. So, all right, we're out, guys. Hey, listen, we're looking for Michael D. Sullivan, Joe Stadler, and J. Cole. J. Cole's in here a lot of the time.
And Bigfoot. Michael D. Sullivan was the winner of the Enigbore autograph card. Joe Stadler was second place. In case Michael doesn't come forward, then J. Cole. All right. I'm going to have to leave it up to the listeners to reach out to me because we're including the YouTube members now in our giveaways. So make sure you guys, if you want to support the show, just hit that join tab down there, or you can join our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. Everybody have a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. for Central Time for PTA Live. Jacob, go easy on the ladies out there, man. We'll see y'all.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.